Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and squirrels from around the world. I've got a really interesting one for you tonight, which I hope that everybody is able to enjoy. It's going to be a wild one. I've been holding off on doing this until I got back from vacation. So I'm hoping that it comes off smooth, because this is going to be a very, very interesting one. This is something that affected me as a young child. This particular person group, I don't know how you'd put it. It's it's definitely a strange one. Definitely a strange one indeed. So I'll take it as lightly as I can on this one. Mainly because this might get a few people upset. Maybe. It might. I don't know. I think that this shaped me into the person that I am today. And it's going to be a long series. So I guess people will need to strap in a little bit there, because it's gonna be something a little bit deeper than your than just your normal average kind of stream. Only because all I have of this are vocal recordings. That's all that I have of this particular person. I think part of it helped form my beliefs as they are today. So hopefully we grab some folks over there like you guys. I've got my Rumble up and running. Good evening, Rabbit. Good to see you. Always a pleasure having you in here. Always a pleasure. So, I think a lot of people might see the listing on this one and see that it's just initials, JWT. And I'm sure that a lot of you probably that are old enough would know who this person is. Once I start talking about them, I wouldn't be surprised. Hey, Justin, good to see you. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of people that do a little bit of searching on their own and find that this is a pretty dark one. A pretty dark one. Well, I guess I should present who I'm talking about. So, without further ado, this is an interesting one. So, this here, let me introduce you, is a witch turned evangelist, John Todd, a prophet sent from God to warn America about an impending takeover by sinister forces or a fraud. If you wonder where I got this from, it's from Christianity Today. And this was written in February 2nd, 1979. At the time that this was written, I was just 9 years old. Fundamentalists across America disagree over the question. As charismatic leaders are fighting mad, and some supporters are stockpiling food, stashing weapons, and building a fortified retreat, hideaways in preparation for the last stand against the hordes of evils. Yeah. Todd, 29, meanwhile, has announced that he is through. He told friends in the Los Angeles area last month that he has been shot at frequently and that his house was firebombed. Therefore, he said he will take no more speaking engagements. He, his wife, and 3 children will head for a secret retreat location. I tried to wake up people in this country, he is quoted as saying, but they didn't listen. Until a year ago, Todd was unknown in most church circles. On January 1st, 1978, he joined Independent Faith Baptist Church in Canoga Park, California. That same day, he headed east where a speaking tour had been arranged by Pastor Tom Berry of the 3,000-member Bible Baptist Church in Elkton, Maryland. The tour, which began with 2 meetings in the Elkton Church, was prolonged as the word spread about Todd's sensational revelations. Hey, just Don. Good to see you. The tour, which began with 2 meetings in the Elkton Church, was prolonged as word spread about his revelations. We've had many great preachers at our pulpit, but there was more talk around town after he left than with any other preacher we had. Pastor Dino Pedrone of the Open Door Church in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, where Todd addressed more than 1,000 people last February. Pedrone, who had invited Todd on Barry's recommendation, recorded Todd's talks and circulated copies of them widely. The church, he said, gave Todd about $1,000 for a rehabilitation center for ex-witches that Todd supposedly was establishing. Pedrone says he has reservations about Todd now and that he would probably not invite him back. In June, a reporter covered Todd's appearance at a large Baptist church in Zionsville, Indiana, and United Press International flashed the story across the nation. Meanwhile, taped cassettes of his messages were being circulated everywhere. And the only reason I know that that's true is because those tapes got circulated to my mother. Often anonymously, and for every person with reservations about Todd, there were others, including Barry, who seemed convinced that Todd's messages were authentic. Barry has produced a manual, The Christian During Riot and After Revolution, that incorporates Todd's views. It includes a section on the morality of killing and tells Christians to buy weapons and ammunition and build retreats. As Todd tells it, he was born into witchcraft and became a grand druid high priest in the Illuminati, a secret group of powerful conspirators, which Todd says plans a world takeover. He says he was also a member of the Council of 13, one of those chosen few who ranked just below the world-ruling Rothschild family, Jewish bankers with roots in 18th century Europe, who Todd claims are really demons. Yes. This is the kind of person Todd was. When I say was, cheers, is in 2007, I believe it was, John Todd left this earth for good. Todd says he joined the army to establish covens of witches, which he became a decorated Green Beret in Vietnam, and that he was later transferred to Germany, where he killed a former commanding officer in a 2-hour shootout in Stuttgart. He says the Illuminati got him out of jail, and when the Pentagon destroyed all his military records. The Illuminati, Todd says, have already begun implementing their plans for a world takeover. He says an upheaval is slated in the United States in 1979. Todd also publicly claims that President Jimmy Carter is the Antichrist, and his sister Ruth Carter Stapleton is the leading high priestess of witchcraft who taught Todd the finer points of the bewitching arts. The president, Todd alleges, takes orders directly from the Rothschilds. Interesting. According to Todd, Carter would push through legislation that would outlaw private ownership of guns, remove tax exemptions from all churches except those associated with the National Council of Churches, ban conversion to another religion, and prohibit the storing of food and medicine. The Rothschilds, Todd alleges, will create a false fuel shortage, confiscate all guns, and call for the murder and torture of Christians whose names have been stored in computers. Oh, those evil computers. Congress will be suspended and martial law established with one policeman for every 5 people. There will be economic chaos. To survive, Todd says, Christians must arm themselves, build up food supplies to last 5 years, hide in wilderness fortresses, and delete attackers. The worldwide conspiracy is so extensive that Christians can trust no one today. Not even America's best-known evangelical preachers and lay leaders, says Todd. He charges that while he was a high-ranking witch, he sent an $8 million check to Pastor Chuck Smith of famed Calvary Chapel in Costa Mesa, California, to set up the Maranatha Music Company and launch Jesus rock music. Smith denied the charge in his church publication. Yes, I've read the church publication too. Todd claims that he delivered a $35 million to founder Demos Shakarian of the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship. He alleges that Shakarian is a leading figure in the Illuminati. The witches, Todd says, also helped build Melodyland Christian Center in Anaheim, whose pastor, Ralph Wilkerson, is part of the conspiracy. Todd similarly implicates the CBN and the PTL, Christian television networks, and their leaders. He hints that Gasolaya itself is an invention of witches. But in a recent attack, Todd alleges that television preacher Jerry Falwell, a non-charismatic, was bought off with a $50 million check during a trip to the Middle East. When some of his hardcore followers expressed dismay, Todd tried to have the remark erased from the tapes, according to an informant. Falwell's church, Thomas Road Baptist in Lynchburg, Virginia, last month returned Todd's fire with a blistering editorial against Todd in the church newspaper, which was sent to many of Falwell's TV viewers. Incredible as it seems, thousands of church members, including a number of pastors, have apparently accepted all or most of Todd's message as gospel truth, despite statements of outrage and denial by charismatic leaders, along with protests by experts in occult studies that Todd's accounts are just simply false. Most of Todd's listeners have assumed that he is also telling the truth about his conversion from witchcraft to Christianity, an event that took place in San Antonio in October of 1972, according to his testimonies in numerous churches last year. He says he embraced Christianity after reading a Chick Publications tract, seeing the movie The Cross and the Switchblade, and being exposed to the ministries of a Christian coffee house and the Castle Hills Baptist Church. The church pastor at the time, Jack Taylor, affirms that Todd indeed made a profession of faith, though little else was known about him. Taylor later uncovered discrepancies in Todd's accounts and since has become a Todd critic. Strange things began to happen when Todd returned to California from his first Eastern tour in 1978, says Pastor Ronald Rasmussen of the Faith Baptist in Canoga Park. Todd claimed several times that he'd been shot at in the vicinity of the church parking lot. Hey, Winning, how's it going, brother? You're going to like this one tonight. Really, you're going to like this one. Todd told Rasmussen that he had gone through a period of backsliding. He said that he had sold occult books from a store he ran for a while in Dayton, Ohio, but emphasized he had never gone back into occult activity. Then one of Todd's friends in the congregation, occult researcher Mike Griffin, informed the pastor about a startling discovery. Griffin had borrowed from Todd a recording made from a television newscast of a meeting the ex-witch had conducted in Ventura, California. Listening to it privately, Griffin heard more than the brief newscast, since the taped cassette had also been used to record an earlier meeting where Todd was instructing would-be witches how to mix potions and cast spells. Todd's own statements during the recorded class session indicated that it was held on March 3rd of 1976 in the Dayton store known as the Witch's Cauldron. Dun, dun, dun. And that had been involved in occult practices since at least the previous March. On the tape, Todd, his witch name is Lance Collins, which makes such statements as, "I feel witchcraft is more powerful than Christianity, and we are not Christians." Rasmussen called a meeting of the deacons on May 27th, and they confronted Todd with the excerpts of the tape. Pastor also reminded Todd that he carried no gun, contrary to what Todd had told an Indiana audience from personal knowledge a short time earlier. Todd, offering virtually no explanation, shrugged and left after retrieving his automatic pistol that tumbled from his hip pocket when he got up from his chair. On the next night, the church voted unanimously to eject Todd from membership and remove endorsement from his ministry. Go figure. Rasmussen was introduced to Todd in 1977 by Jack Chick of Chick Publications in nearby Cucamonga, and Rasmussen was in turn introduced to Barry Chick, a Baptist. Says he first heard Todd in 1973 at a meeting of charismatic evangelical Doug Clark's Amazing Prophecies group. Impressed, Chick featured Todd in several Christian comic book stories. Oh, those are interesting, by the way. Impressed, Chick... Sorry. Despite the controversy, he says he still believes Todd, though he admits to not knowing what to believe about Todd's charge that prominent charismatic ministers are agents of the Illuminati. Are you with me still? Because this guy's tapes are insane. Or are they real? Is he telling the truth? Well, I'll leave that up to you guys to decide on this one. Support from the clergy. Barry and 4 other prominent Baptist ministers, along with several associates, met with Todd at a Villa Baptist church in Indianapolis. They later released a paper reaffirming their beliefs that Todd is genuinely born again, that he is sincerely trying to serve Christ, and that his accounts of experiences in the ruling circles of witchcraft are reliable reports. Todd, however, hit the road again with a heavy schedule of meetings, some of them arranged by Barry. At a closed meeting of nearly 3,000 pastors and lay leaders hosted by Barry in a Maryland restaurant. Wow, that's a big freaking restaurant if it can hold 30,000 people. That's a pretty damn big restaurant. Todd again recounted his experience as a witch and as a member of the Illuminati. He also retraced his conversion in 1972 in San Antonio, but Todd apparently didn't tell everything. I remember that Todd stuff. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it has been a long time. But Todd apparently didn't tell everything. Christianity Today has learned, for example, that Todd showed up in Phoenix early in 1968 as a 19-year-old Pentecostal storefront preacher with a wife named Linda and her 4-year-old child, Tanya. While staying with relatives, he called Pastor James Outlaw of the Jesus Name Church. Wow, that's a cool name. Pastor James Outlaw of the Jesus Name Church and asked to be rebaptized. Todd said that he'd been studying the teachings of William Branham and wanted to be rebaptized in the name of Jesus only. Branham taught that God manifests himself in different ways at different times, but is always Jesus. Todd testified to Outlaw that he had been a witch while in the Navy, but was converted while attending a storefront Pentecostal church in Southern California. Outlaw says Todd disappeared and returned months later without Linda. Todd explained that God had given them a prophecy to split up and seek other mates. The pastor says he and his wife admonished Todd about the error of such thinking, but nevertheless helped him get a job as a busboy in a Mexican restaurant. Then Todd disappeared again and did not return until late 1972 or 1973. Outlaw introduced Todd this time to Pentecostal Ken Long, a local leader of the Jesus movement who operated the Open Door Coffee House. Yeah. Long, who has since switched from Pentecostalism and became pastor of Bible Heritage Free Will Baptist Church in Phoenix. Okay, that's a long name. I still like his old church's name. That's a pretty cool name, Jesus Name Church. Things began to happen, declares Long. John Todd did miracles. Long says he watched Todd heal a handicapped youth's leg. Let's see, where is this going? On one excursion, Long and Todd met Sharon Garver in San Antonio. She returned with them to Phoenix and married Todd in August of 1973. Meanwhile, Long says he began getting reports that Todd was trying to seduce teenage girls at the coffee house. Two later confessed they had sexual relations with him. Four girls revealed that Todd wanted them to form a witches' coven and that he told them that he was still in witchcraft. Long later removed Todd from the coffee house ministry. Go figure. Why would they ever do that? Why would they ever remove him? Todd drifted from job to job and then struck pay dirt. He gave his testimony during a telethon for a Christian TV station. He claimed that the Illuminati were financing some fundamentalist churches, that he had been the Kennedy's family's personal warlock. John F. Kennedy was not really killed. I just came back from a visit with him on his yacht. And that he had witnessed the stabbing of a girl by Senator George McGovern in an act of sacrifice. More than $25,000 was pledged during that telethon, and the management offered to employ Todd, who was then reportedly packing a .38 snub-nose revolver. He eventually declined. Doug Clark heard of Todd and invited him to appear on his Amazing Prophecy shows. Overnight, Tom became a hit in charismatic circles in Southern California, and he and Sharon moved to Santa Ana. Hello, Daisy girl. Good to see you. Good to see you. Soon the Todds were hosting dozens of young people at weekly Bible studies in their home. A few young people were converted, said Sharon, but there were distressing things too. She said that Todd was blending elements of witchcraft with his Christian teachings and seducing some of the girls, several of whom confided in leaders at Melody Land Christian Center. In an ugly confrontation with Melody Land church leaders around Christmas '73, Todd denied the charges and stormed out. As a matter of records, Clark denounced Todd on TV, and the Todds headed back to San Antonio. Throughout their marriage, Todd had been using drugs, says Sharon, and he was dropping in and out of witchcraft. She spoke of trying to re-enlist. He spoke of trying to re-enlist in the Army. He had served from February '69 to July of 1970, and he obtained his Army records, although he is still telling audiences that the records do not exist. Amazing. Christianity Today has obtained a copy that shows he spent only 25 days overseas, in Germany, not Vietnam. Family members say that Todd was witnessing to Sharon's relatives about Christ, but at the same time was trying to enlist them in witchcraft. Apparently, for sexual reasons, he made Sharon's teenage sister pregnant, alleged both Sharon and the sister. The latter says she finally received Christ several months ago, but had been turned off to Christianity almost completely by Todd. Todd declined to be interviewed for this report. Finally, the lanky 6'4" Todd left Sharon mid-1974 and went to Daytona, where he met Sheila Spoonmore. The pair apparently lived together for about 2 years before getting married. During this period, Todd operated the Witch's Cauldron. He attracted the attention of authority when parents of teenage girls complained he was corrupting their children's morals. Go figure. One 16-year-old finally agreed to tell police what was going on at Todd's house and store. She said the witchcraft initiation rites were carried out in the nude and that Todd had forced her to have oral sex. Todd pleaded guilty to contributing to the unruliness of a minor and served 2 months of a 6-month sentence in a county institution. Chick and a lawyer succeeded in getting him released early for medical reasons. He said he was to be having seizures. He was placed on 5 years probation, which he promptly broke by leaving the state. He traveled to Phoenix, where Ken Long got him a job as a cook in a steakhouse. Todd swore he was out of witchcraft for good, says Long, but only after 2 weeks on the job, he was talking to 2 girls about plans to open up an occult bookstore. Todd, however, abruptly left town, and Long has not seen him since. Nice guy, right? Todd's occult operation in Daytona held a temporary charter as the Watchers Church of Wicca under the National Church and School of Wicca, headquartered in New Bern, North Carolina. Todd appealed to Wicca head Gavin Frost and civil rights specialist Isaac Bonowitz to help him with the police problems in Daytona. Both men investigated quietly, and Frost announced their findings as in the Wicca newsletter. We found absolutely no foundation for the charges of persecution made by the Todds. Rather, we found a very negative situation conducted by an ex-Satanist, an ex-Christian priest as a cover for sexual perversion and drug abuse. Todd is armed and dangerous, and any activity by him should immediately be reported to the Church of Wicca. Todd's police record shows that a felony warrant was issued against him in New Mexico for passing a bad check. He was arrested in Columbus of 1968 for malicious destruction of property. He was treated for drug overdose at an Army installation in Maryland in 1969. A warrant for his arrest awaits him in Ohio. As does a judgment against him for $2,200 in a defamation case. Oh, ouch. And 1970s? That's a lot of money. I'll buy you a lot of Pinos. Todd claims many of the police are associated with Freemasonry, an Illuminati organization, therefore should be considered enemies. In an interview, Barry says he thinks the theory is a plausible one. The Freemasonry is what forced Strom Thurmond off the Bob Jones University board after Todd spread the word that the senator is a Mason. Todd was given psychiatric examination twice while in the Army. His records indicate evidence of unstable home background and possible brain damage as a result of beatings. A second examination a few months later labeled this malady as emotion instability with pseudological fantasia. Basically, he fantasizes. Todd finds it difficult to tell reality from fantasy, says a medical report. It spoke of homicidal threats he made on another, false suicide reports, and a severe personality disturbance. He saw no hope for change and recommended Todd's discharge. Well, go figure. Maybe they're going to discharge this guy from the Army. Pastor Clifford Wicks of the 850-member Grace Brethren Church in Somerset, Pennsylvania, canceled Todd after he delivered the third of 4 scheduled messages in his church last month. Wicks said reaction to Todd was mixed in that some persons experienced revival. However, Wicks reported that one particularly disturbing reaction to Todd, some people in the community expressing a sense of dismay and helplessness at the coming events as predicted by Todd, said Pastor, "We will not allow them to torture our families. We have decided that we will kill our children before that happens." So this is the introduction. The introduction of John Todd. Crazy as it may seem, he still has a lot of supporters. Quite a bit, to be truthful. One of them still in 2008 was writing quite a bit about him. And that's probably about the time that John Todd sort of disappeared. Let me open this up in a new tab. And so, enough ado about that. Are you ready to hear some of this guy's teachings? Some of his speeches? I'm hoping that you guys are ready for this, because this was something that was quite disturbing to me. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Shoot. And I think it's going to be this one here. ISA. I hope this works. Or is it this one? Yes, this one. All right. Share tab audio. There we go. So what I'll do is I'll change this screen here so it looks a little bit better. Oh, boy. Okay. Are you ready for what disturbed my childhood? Here we go. Let me know if the sound is good enough.
Glad to be here this evening. I asked the pastor, "Do you think anybody's going to come out for 2 continuous services like that?" He said, "You just get here, the people will be here." I'm glad to see you. I was beginning to wonder I was going to preach to 5 people. But we're going to go over a few things this evening. And how many people here have never heard the word Illuminati before? Oh boy, I have a problem here. Rather than go over the history of what it is and how it came into being, I'm going to concentrate on what it's doing today. Now, many of you accept too many things that are just because they're there, and you don't question why are they there. So many things in America we've accepted as normal because we're used to that. And we've grown to accept them, and that's just exactly what the Illuminati wants you to do. Now, I promised the teenagers the other day that I wasn't going to let their parents off any easier than I let them off. So you've got it coming to you. But quickly to tell some of the people some things, the Illuminati is an organization that the Luciferian religion, or religion of the occult, or witchcraft, or paganism, or the force, or whatever you want to call it, is its religion, and it's.
And he goes a little bit deeper into this. So whenever he starts talking about the Illuminati, this he starts talking about the Force. You also have to remember this is about the time that Star Wars was first released. So he uses this to make his point.
Priests are those of witchcraft, but it is a political, financial organization. And real quickly, rather than have you take out a $1 bill or any of that, you can do that later. I'll draw you this and try to explain the Illuminati through this, and then we'll go on with the teaching. I'm not used to one of these things. I'm used to a blackboard, so we'll try the best. Now, I only write the stories at Chick Publications. Now I've learned. Okay, we'll just roll it over. We go from this direction. Which direction? This way? Oh, okay. I was wondering why everybody was laughing. I knew I wasn't that bad of an artist. I'm terrible, but not that bad. We do it right. Yeah, we did do it right. How about that? Yeah, I'm going to. All right, this is the Illuminati. I'll describe it before I describe myself. The I in there means Lucifer, and the capstone is the Rothschilds. If you notice, it's suspended from the pyramid because the Rothschilds are considered deities, supernatural beings dwelling in human bodies, gods to be worshipped, not human beings.
You got that right. Rothschilds. They're deities in human bodies. Okay, here we go.
And so they are the Godhead, and their priest is the Council of 13 of the Grand Druid Council, which I was a member of. So the things I'm saying from here, up where I know what took place. The next council is the Council of 33. That is the 33 highest initiate Masons in the world. And the next is the Council of 500.
Okay. Hey, how's it going, Shelley? You'll like this one. This one's a good one. You're probably too young to remember this. I don't even think you were born when this stuff came out. I know I wasn't born whenever he first started. But if you do the rewind, you can do a good catch up on a little bit about this guy. He sounds like a real hero. Yeah.
That is what many people refer to as the Bilderbergers. That's the people you make rich every time you go shopping. Now, where I come from is the Todds were originally called the Collinses, the particular branch of the family that I'm from, and they have been in the Illuminati since May 1st, 1776, when it was organized.
You were in your 20s? Yep. So you're actually just a little bit older than my oldest brother. I do have an older sister that would have been in her 20s. So you're about the same age as my oldest half-sister.
In fact, they were one of the organizing families. They were also the originators of witchcraft within the United States. They brought it here in 1626.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I came from. I was raised a witch, and all my life I thought I was into witchcraft till 1970, when I shot and killed an officer in Germany after re-enlisted, and the Illuminati stepped in with the aid of a senator that later became Attorney General and a congressman, and about 3 generals from the Pentagon, ordering my immediate honorable discharge and the destructions of my military records and court-martial records.
Are you with us so far? So what he said was that he shot and killed an officer in Germany, and that all of these generals stepped in to basically cover this up. And that's whenever he changed. He became reborn. So why don't we pull that up? Because it's pretty interesting that he would bring this particular thing up. And here it is. John Wade Todd, born May 19th, 1949, died September 10th, 2007, also known as John Todd Collins, Lance Collins, Chris Sharon Collins, and Christopher Collins, was an American speaker and conspiracy theorist. He complained to be a former occultist who was born into a witchcraft family before converting to Christianity. He was the primary source for Chick publications, works against Dungeons and Dragons, Catholicism, neo-paganism, and Christian rock. So that right there is who we are listening to. Now, for some reason, Puffer P, good to see you. Yes, it did, and that will that, and I'll let you guys know, because Saturday, my plan, if everything works out right, I should be able to get some of my stuff from Italy put together, compiled into a nice long video, maybe an hour. I might do it like in several sections, and I'm just gonna have the pictures and talk a little bit about it, and might do them as like premieres, and then just hang out with you guys and chat, and just shoot the shit about it, and let you guys pause it and tell me what you think. Should be pretty fun, I think. Squaw Bob, shame on you. I'm a married man, and Puffer P wouldn't want an old fart like me anyway. Let's continue on. But for some reason my sound doesn't work, just let me know and I'll rewind it. 4105. Okay.
Which was done. And then I learned that witchcraft was more than just casting spells, that there were political and financial people involved in this thing. This is what we're going to be talking about today. Rather than being a lot of people like Gary Allen, who starts back in 1776, I'm going to start at an interesting time. I'm going to start December 1963. The reason I'm starting there is that is the time, in fact, the 21st of December 1963, that it was decided that the Christian church, the fundamental Christian church, was a threat to the Illuminati within the United States. And at that time, they thought they could take care of it by infiltration, by bribing, by blackmail, and by scandal. Now, as of a year ago, they decided that that's useless, and that the only answer to the Christian church is to burn it to the ground. And we'll be talking about quite a few things like
T3, shame on you. Shame on you, T3. Of course, we have perks. We don't talk about those.
that today. But this is what I came off of. And at that time, the reason, I'm going to say a few things. If they're contrary to things you've heard before, traditional, just pray for me. I'm sure they're going to be. The reason that the Christian church became a threat to the Illuminati is that a particular president existed that time. And that president, through the man that helped set up the Bay of Pigs invasion, became a Christian. It was one for the Lord, and that's John Kennedy. And because of this, they thought they could threaten and force him back in. They tried for 3 months. In fact, 30 days before his death, the Pope ordered him to Rome to appear before him and accept communion at his hand. And Kennedy walked out of the Vatican refusing communion. And that's when they decided that he had to go.
Yeah. That's where it gets interesting. So you understand.
So he ordered his death. So if you're wondering they're ever going to solve the Kennedy assassination, don't you believe it? Now, when I joined the Illuminati,
Madcore Mofo. Oh my gosh. Brother. It was good. It was really good. Oh. So it was good, and I will be posting up some stuff this weekend. Hopefully, if everything works out as I plan, because the rest of the week I will. This will be the only other stream. Well, I did one last night with Cool Frog and the Expert, and thank you guys for coming by and chatting and saying hi, and Rabbit for hanging out with the after show. Rabbit's cool. It was really, really enjoyable. So I thank you all for coming by. I really do. Last night it was great. And I'm sorry to hear that, dealing with a dumb ex. I'm sorry to hear that. Really am. That's never any fun. But here we go.
Illuminati, knowing, I guess I was a member of the Illuminati since I was 14.
14.
But I did not know it was the Illuminati. Now I'm going to give you a chance to ask some questions, and the reason I'm going fast is I have to leave here and go preach a service. So I'm going to try to go through some of these things and wise you up to some of the things the Illuminati has been doing to the Christian church. That's all I'm going to concentrate on, is what they've been doing to the Christian church. And then I'm going to let you ask a lot of questions and try and go back over the pieces I've skipped over by accident. Now, when they decided to do this, they knew that demons were very real. There's nobody that's ever come out of the occult that would say that the devil's not as active as he was during the time of Jesus, and therefore neither is his army. And they're extremely real today. I would like to say more than ever, but I'm sure they were just as real in Jesus' time. And they know that there are weak Christians as well as there are strong Christians. There's two types of Christians, and they're familiar with this. In fact, I learned this in witchcraft, not in the Christian church. There are Christians who have accepted Jesus as Savior, and there are Christians who have accepted him as Lord. And there is a difference.
Oh.
In fact, I was telling the pastor's wife, I love the Gaither Trio because I've learned more about the Lordship of Christ listening to their music and their testimonies than probably anybody else. And they have a beautiful illustration on one of their live albums of where the woman's 2-year-old boy was down at a picnic, and the grandmother and him was playing ball with plastic ball and bat. And he got mad and threw the bat down and started stamping on the ground. Says, "Grandma, you missed my bat again. You missed my bat again." And that's just about us when we get in trouble, or when we don't think the Lord did it our way. We say, "Lord, you missed my bat again." That's because we're trying to run it and tell the Lord what to do. Now that's being Savior. When he's Lord, we say, "Lord, what am I supposed to do for you today? How do you want it run?"
Good to see you.
And there's a difference. And they know the difference in the occult world. And they try to keep everybody at the Savior station. They figure they've lost them anyway, but they'd like to make their testimony so weak and so void that they're not a threat to them. And they use several things to do it. Their number one instrument in destroying a Christian's strength is music. Now, I'm sure a lot of you parents had great testimonies of your kids going home about how great a speaker I am and so on rock music. That's because my favorite thing is to burn rock music.
Burn rock music. Well, he hadn't heard nothing yet. Yeah, I imagine so, because I totally believe in demons. Hey, this is all for you then. You'll listen what this guy is saying. He's rather interesting.
Just get such a pleasure out of destroying that garbage. And there's a reason that I get that pleasure. I used to lead Zodiac Productions, the largest rock booking concert agency in the United States. They've decided they ought to change their name. They do this quite often. The Illuminati change their name around. But at that time, they're the main reason that the Beatles and the Stones and Crosby, Still, Nash and Young and Creedence Clearwater Revival and other groups that belong to the occult had concerts in this country. They have now had such influence, and since the Illuminati has bought most of their record companies anyway, you cannot produce records in this country as a new group getting started, like KISS, unless you are a member of some occult brotherhood and have an initiation scar on your wrist. Now, I was shocked that one of the young people here knew a particular story that happened about 6 months ago. KISS was having a press conference over a new album they were releasing, and this press conference was being held in Hollywood over at one of the record companies. And somebody said, well, Kiss, that's a strange name. What's it all about? And the guy stood up and says, well, I guess we ought to tell you all about ourselves. We didn't get together and form our own group. We were told to form this group by our ministers, by our church.
Oh my gosh.
And they said, oh, we didn't know you were Christians. Oh, I like the way the guy thinks. And they said, oh, we're not. We're Satanists. And they all pulled out their ministers' cards and showed they were priests of the Satanic Brotherhood of America.
Impish. Oh, that won't be able to bring up Wasp. You know why? Because Wasp hadn't even released any music yet at the time. They considered Creedence Clearwater to be heavy metal music. Yes, music is very necessary to life. You have to have a song in your heart. Always have to have a song in your heart. It gets you through just about anything. The whole world works off of music. Yes, music is essential. It can change so much. Oh, I love that. Somebody's giving me all those little hearts over there. That's really cool. I saw that on somebody else's channel. They were talking about it. I think might have been Cool Frog was talking about it, how on the iPhone or whatever, that you've got like little icons that you can hit and little hearts come popping up and you can see them. That's pretty cool. Caitlin, I hope you're feeling well, and new glasses are just amazing. Sorry about that. Oh, come on. We're sexual perverts. Oh, damn. Missed it when his talk was given. That's Blackie Fawn religion. God. That's too funny.
And they said, oh, and they kind of skipped over. They were trying to get away from it. They didn't realize they weren't going to get away from it. And then one of the guys stood up and says, oh, well, you know, all the teeny boppers really, really like you. And they say, well, we're not too interested in the girls. We all like the guys. And they all said they were homosexuals except one. That destroyed some of the girls the other day. And then they went on.
So, you know, that's what he's claiming, that all the guys from Kiss except for one are homosexuals. Okay.
I'm going to say, by the way, our name means Kings in Satanic Service. That's what KISS stood for.
Oh my gosh.
Now that's just one group. A lot of them are.
So if you didn't know, he's the one that coined that, started putting that out. Gene Simmons would definitely agree with that statement. Unless he was the only guy that was interested in girls. I could believe it, Paul, though. Yeah. You guys are cruel. Oh gosh, here we go. Okay.
Out there. Most of the groups pick their names for their band according to which language. Now, how many CBers do we have here that talk on the CB? Come on, you can confess that. The Lord will forgive you. Okay. Now, I have a CB in my car. I try not to use it unless I have to. But I have learned one thing, that supposedly CBers talk in what is called English. I'm not so sure some of the times, but you know what I mean. They have the word smoky and 10-4 and everything else and on down the road and so on.
Yeah. Oh God, watch the way he moves. He's definitely slips. Oh. But now that we're on to the CB radios, okay, this gets good. Come on, just keep paying attention.
Okay, they have a set of code words. Unless you know what they're talking in, It's a lot like what the teenagers talk in today. Unless you know what they're talking in, you can't understand the conversation.
Oh,
Well, the witches have had a language for several thousand years old that they communicate in. And it's English, I think. And it consists of many words. It means many, phrases and so on. They call it, actually, what they call it is witches' roots.
okay. So, CB radios aren't of the devil. He was using it as a comparison. So don't you CBers were out there worry about, being called out for using them their CBs, because we CBers. Smoking the Panic was satanic. Explains the super tight jeans. That's not natural. Oh, heartbeat. I'm imbishly fun in that way. I know you are.
DES, roots.
Rudes.
And most of the rock music is written in witch language. Okay? And many of the groups pick their names by phrases out of the Witchcraft Bible, the Book of Shadows. And the Beatles.
Oh.
Now, there's one of the most potent charms within witchcraft is the scarab, which is a beetle. And that's why they chose it. Most people who are great Beatle fans, and this goes back to some of the oldsters here, do not realize what the occult calls the Beatles. They call them the four prophets, the four angels from Lucifer.
Oh my gosh.
And they believe in them so strongly that for the first time in witchcraft history, a record album and the words of that record album have been adopted as part of the Witchcraft Bible, the Book of Shadows.
Oh my God.
And that was the double white album that the Beatles sung. They consider every song on there to be a prophecy from Lucifer of the end times. Okay? Just to give you a little clue. Now, don't rush out and buy one, but you can rush home and burn the one you got. Now, I know a lot of the rock singers firsthand because of booking and because many of them were in occult brotherhoods that I used to go and minister at and so on when I was over. Three Dog Night all came out of one coven in Tempe, Arizona.
Three Dog Night came out of one coven. Is it coven or coven? I would say it's coven. And he's saying that he knows the secret language of the witches. I would guarantee you that he probably doesn't. Forwards or backwards? Well, if you burn the white album, it doesn't burn. It won't burn. You can't melt the records. That's how ridiculous he is. Take your word for it and still listen. Hell yeah.
And I know Santana, they were brought up from down in South America, and his brother started another group. And I know many of the groups. In fact, my closest.
So he's saying Carlos Santana is part of a witchcraft cult. With a name like Santana. Well, did you ever think that maybe that's like his last name? Idiot. Okay. Sorry.
The friend in the world is David Crosby.
That's not all that pops out if you rub it just right. Sorry, I shouldn't go there.
Crosby, Still, Nash and Young. And I saw him. In fact, I'd like you to pray for him because I do really feel for him. I saw him about 3 days before Christmas last year, and the man is almost dead. He's on $200 a day worth of cocaine.
Oh my God.
And I talked with him. I said, I've been out of this a long time, Dave. I'd like to know, do they still require at the record companies that when a song is ready to be pressed, in other words, the records are pressed and sent out, is it required over in one of the temple rooms? See, most of you don't know that all the major record companies have a room set aside about this size for a witchcraft coven to come in and do rights at for the company.
Damn it. That's what I missed out on. That's why I didn't become a famous rock and roller. Damn it. I missed out on it. I didn't join the right coven. Damn it. Back then, might have been a lot of coke. These days, not so much. No, we just turn people into zombies with other stuff. It's spooky. It's creepy. When someone tries to prove their authenticity really hard, don't believe a word. That's not always true. And I can make a point to that. A lot of times, whenever people are doing that, they're mixing in a lot of true things that happen with a lot of fantasy. And this guy is really good in his fantasy. I mean, he is seriously delusional. Seriously delusional.
I said, is it still required for the coven to come in and perform a spell over the music so that people will buy it? They said, oh, yes. Now, the reason for rock music is not to make money. The Illuminati doesn't need money. They got probably 99.9% of the money in the world. They don't need money. What they want with rock music is the same reason that they created the jewelry I'll be talking about in a moment. And that is to weaken your Christian life.
Oh, really?
Now, when a record is done, the priest of that coven ordered demons to follow every rock record that comes off of that master copy.
Oh my God, that's a lot of demons.
Now, if you don't think it's done, too bad. I want you to stop and ask yourself, what strong Christian, what soul-winning Christian do you know that plays rock music? I've made a statement many times in my meetings. You show me a strong Christian, and don't come up and tell me you're a strong Christian, got the rock music, because I'll sit you down and we'll go over your life. I've never met one. There isn't any. Only weak Christians listen to rock music. By the way, only weak Christians listen to Jesus rock music also.
Jesus rock music. Oh, he does. That's what he's going into, Impish. He's talking about it right now. That's where he's at with this. Well, Puffer P, if you go to McDonald's, they're on the Happy Meal menu. Sorry. It's a bad joke.
Now, I know a little story about Jesus Rock, since we're talking about infiltration. I was in Phoenix on a guest speaking tour. I was living in San Antonio. I was there on a function at one of the Grand Druid meetings. In fact, it was an extremely important meeting that was taking place that was discussing the destruction of Jerry Falwell's church. Oh, yeah. All the big churches are discussed one time or the other. And when we were there, I was given a check that was made out on the Lords of London Bank in London. That's where it originated. It was actually made out on the Chase Manhattan Bank here, but it was funds from that bank. It was
on bread, on paper,
stamped on it. And it was to be delivered to a Reverend Chuck Smith, Costa Mesa, California. Now, old Chucky, he had started a thing called the Jesus People. That's really where it got started with him. And the occult got very upset. The Illuminati was extremely upset because ministers were standing up and preaching against rock music, and the kids were burning their music. Now, they just couldn't stand the idea that these demons weren't in Christians' homes and affecting Christians' lives. And they couldn't understand. It was puzzling me how the Christians found out about this. We thought we were so carefully had it hidden that we couldn't understand why Christian ministers were preaching against rock, since they didn't know the real reason. But something inside ministers across the country was saying this is wrong. So how do you get these demons, these same demons, into people's hands if they're not going to play the rock? You make it Christian. Standard term in the Illuminati, you can't beat them, join them. So this $4 million check was the second $4 million this man had received in a 2-year period. And with it, he built Maranatha Productions. And Maranatha Productions started what we call today Jesus Rock. Now, watch out. I'm going to give you a little warning. The Illuminati just bought the biggest Christian record and music company in the United States and probably in the world about a year ago. And already we're seeing a change in the music. They bought Word Ministries in Texas. RCA bought them up.
Oh.
And RCA belongs to the Illuminati. And they've
RCA
already
belongs to the
brought
Illuminati.
out a company called Myrrh. Okay? And Myrrh's emblem is the ruins of Stonehenge. That's one of the strongest witchcraft sites. That would be, for a witch to go to Stonehenge would be like a Christian to go to Bethlehem. It's that holy of a place in the occult. And they mark their records. And one particular witch we can't stand that a lot of Christians have in their home, we enjoy burning her records as much as we enjoy burning the Beatles, and that's Honey Tree. And she sings for him.
Honey Tree, huh? Oh, just a little bit of witchcraft. This man got the clap from a rock groupie and went to God. Bet. Sorry, bad jokes. I'm thinking you might be onto something. Yes, might just be.
Now, we know many of these people because they started out in rock music and they were ordered over into the Christian rock.
Oh, damn.
So if I can get you Christian rock music, that's almost as fun as getting your rock music. Now, the other thing that I want to say before we get back to politics a second is this. 5 years ago, I could stand in a meeting and say, this is how you tell a witch, by their jewelry, and these are the symbols. I can't do that today because the Christians are wearing the same jewelry. Now, most people don't know the significance of an inanimate object when its creation was ordered by the devil.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think anybody here doubts that the Word of God was ordered by the Holy Spirit through man. Well, certain writings and certain pieces of jewelry were ordered by the devil through occult people. And these pieces of jewelry mean things you don't know. Now, about 3 years ago, the occult changed all the names to these pieces of jewelry. What they've been called for thousands of years, they changed their names and called them something else. Some of the names don't even make sense. And then they started selling them through several major companies that they owned, federal department stores, which meant that they sold them through Sears and Penny's. Then they sold and Kmart and Gold Circle and so on. Then they sold them through Standard Oil store, Montgomery Ward. And then they wanted to get them into everybody's homes that maybe didn't buy them in the store, so they sold them through Avon.
Avon, huh? I've known a few druggy rock converts to Christianity who understandably legit could no longer be around that scene at all and saw it as innately evil. Yes. There are quite a few that just didn't want to be involved in that scene anymore, and that's why a lot of them left. She was instrumental in early Jesus music. Yep. Avon calling. I can see the convert walking into Kmart to buy their jewelry now. Who is this freak? I came in late, remember? Yes, I know you came in late. This is John Wade and Todd. You have to go back and watch the beginning of it because I give a little bit more get a little more in depth with it. If you're a strong Christian, inanimate objects don't deliver to the devil. Yes. Here we go.
And Avon's catalog this year is unreal. It's got more jewelry in it from the occult than I've ever seen anywhere else.
Oh my gosh.
By the way, if you buy from Avon, we have a cassette tape, we don't have it with us, of a woman that's with Word of Life Ministries that was one of their biggest executives in Maryland.
Oh
and she had to be delivered from demons because of the jewelry she was selling, and her testimony is outstanding of how she tried to kill herself just because the jewelry was in her house.
Oh
and the
my.
demonic activity that it created.
Oh, the demons and
So
the
you might
jewelry.
consider it twice. Now, these are the symbols.
Oh, you don't have to worry about Googling them. I've got a lot of information on them. Stick around to the end and we will go a little bit more into what he's about. And I'm playing every single one of these tapes. You can't stop me. These are tapes that I heard shit as a young child. My mother was very much into this guy. I have no idea how much she spent on the tapes, but she idolized him. What did this guy invest in? He invested in what a lot of people are still doing today. You'll understand whenever we get more deeper into where this guy stands. He's drawing pictures right now. It's a little
I
disappointing.
know I'm drawing them upside down again, but you'll get the message, I think. Now we're drawing them over there. Let me go over here. I'm not a good artist.
There's nothing wrong with being born again or being a Christian. I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think that that's somebody should follow what their heart tells them to follow. It's just not my scene. So no pain there. I'm happy that people are upside down and scribbling works of Satan's. Yes, there you go.
But it'll give you a symbol. 5-pointed star called the pentagram.
Oh my, the pentagram.
Or the pinnacle. The 6-pointed star was originally called the hexagram or the crest of Solomon. It's always been used for demon worship. Just recently, has anybody called it the Star of David?
Oh,
in fact, I'll tell you a little story about this.
Talking about the Jewish star.
Well, one isn't a close friend, but the girl she lives with in marriage is. And there's this television star, we're going to be talking about television in a minute, that a lot of you Christians
oh my mom, it's not the religion that bothered me, it was the judgmental hypocrisy that irked me. Yes. Is that one of those things that you put in your eye so you can see? No, that's a monocle. Got it. Sorry. I couldn't picture you wearing a monocle. It was a little weird. Pinnacle. Gotcha. Obviously, since I believe in demons, my walls have them painted on hidden under paintings. Oh my gosh.
T3 probably thinks a good, clean Christian show, or I can't say Christian show, a good, clean show that maybe you can slip by and your preacher won't skin you for it. And this woman is a homosexual that stars in the show. That's Cindy Williams from Laverne and Shirley.
Oh my gosh.
And
she's a homosexual.
She lives with a rock star named Carol King. Carol's an old friend of mine. And Cindy thought it was not fair that homosexuals weren't allowed to be ministers in witchcraft, that they could only be church members. So they started their own brotherhood. And they adopted the hexagram inside the circle. This means demonic possession.
Oh my.
In the occult. Boy, she hit it right on the button. They are probably the two worst things, homosexuals and witches. The next one, and you'll see it on many television stars, is the moon and the 5-pointed star. It means you are an ordained priest or priestess of witchcraft. And I've seen many television stars lately wearing this on TV. That's because you're not supposed to know what it means. Now, last one, as I said, I'm not a good artist, is the Ankh. And now calling it the Cross of Life. They like to change the names of things. Now, this is what it means. Don't come up and tell me it means a Christian symbol. I came out of the occult. They created that thing. I know what it means. It's not a Christian cross. In fact, it came from Egypt thousands of years before Christ ever walked the earth.
Oh my gosh.
In a form of a human body.
Those Ankhs.
It means that you despise virginity, that you practice orgies, that you worship the sun god Ra, which is the Egyptian name for Lucifer, and that you believe in reincarnation, which means you don't believe in hell and you don't believe in heaven.
Wow. So the Ankh tells you, read cards in your spirit, which needs protection. Oh, back 2023, that would be hilarious if possible. Well, I mean, I guess if it was possible, that would be a little weird. It'd be a little weird. But you know, he's I'll go into this guy. Tarot readings, white magic, natural herb medicines. I'm a hedonist. There you go. Somebody has to be. Oh, everybody that listens to me is a hedonist. Don't be fooled.
So if you don't believe any of these things, don't wear it. Now there's another one. I'm not too good of an artist. I can't draw these, come to think of it. And it's called now the Italian horn. I don't know why they call it that since it was invented in Ireland. But it's been called, its real names is the leprechaun staff, the fairy's wand, and the unicorn's horn. And it comes two ways. Sometimes it's a twisted horn like this, a spiral horn, and sometimes it's a curved horn. It means literally you trust the devil for your finance. Now, if you don't wear it. I'm so tired of seeing Christian ladies wearing this around their neck. I don't even talk to them. I tell them to take it off before I talk to them. I came out of that thing. Now, they got these in your hands for a reason. And the reason is this. These things attract demons. Believe me, they really do, especially the six-pointed star. And in fact, we never conjured a demon that we didn't draw this on the floor for the demon to appear in the six-pointed one. In fact, the word to cast a bad spell, to hex somebody, comes from this star. That gives you kind of an idea of its evil. So I'm not against jewelry, or I would preach against all jewelry. I'm just against jewelry that the devil told people to create for his worship service. And for
So someone needs to tell Joe he's been wearing devil symbols. Someone needs to tell Good Logic been wearing devil symbols. He's been calling in the demons. Oh my. All right. Let's be serious.
For his priesthood. And it doesn't have any place in a Christian's life. Now, give you a little political things. And before everybody rushes out of here tonight to send telegrams off to Washington, D.C., I got saved out of the Illuminati. You can save the money of sending your telegrams. If they want to vote something through, they're going to vote it through, and you're never going to know about it. I'll give you a little tip of when the Illuminati is up to something in the United States. When you turn on your television set and you hear the senators are arguing over a certain bill in Washington, you've got to say, what are they really passing that we're not seeing while we're seeing this? Now, the whole reason for the Panama Canal, and they plan on having the world before the Panama Canal ever falls in the hands of Panama, so they're not doing anything anyway. It's a smokescreen. In the time everybody's been concerned over the Panama Canal, 5 bills have been before Congress, and 2 of them have passed that you never heard about. And one, I understood, I believe, passed last week or the week before. So I guess it's been 3. The one that just passed is called House Bill 41. Beautiful little thing. It states in House Bill 41 that if your church is not a member of a denomination of the World Council of Churches or the National Council of Churches, that you could lose your tax status. You must go through an investigation and a court hearing. Unless, and this little side thing, unless...
And you know why they created that? The reason they created that House bill, because the concern was there was a lot of cults that were popping up. Oh no, he's not. That's the thing. We'll get into that towards the end. Or just keep watching. Just keep watching.
You have a membership of 500 joining members of your church, so I think you're safe here, but a lot of churches aren't. Next, Anybody that gives to a Christian organization separate from a member of a denomination of the National Council of Churches, there exists in this whole bill, the name of the people who give to them that claim tax deduction, name, address, phone number, and work address is to be printed in every post office in the United States.
Oh my. So that way you can get a letter. Damn those postal workers. Oh, he gets better. Oh, he gets better. But yes, he's tame compared to Jim Jones.
For everybody to look at. Now, you may not think that's important, but I came out of a radical organization that's dying to find out who's spending money in the enemy camp.
You have to run at 9 to mod for winning. Suzanne is unavailable. Well, I will tell you at a little bit after 9, I'll be jumping in over there and just listening and enjoying some winning. We love us some winning reality. Good people. Speaking of winning, might be something going on Saturday with winning. We'll have to see.
And would love to pay you a very unfriendly visit when something comes flying through your window some night. That goes boom, you know. So this bill is very important, and it just got passed. Of course, you never heard about it. It's the bills you don't hear about that you have to worry about. There's one up for vote now that just came out of committee. It was voted down 8 years ago, and therefore some of you may know about it. But the president that we have now has considered it a necessary bill, so he's been pushing it. It's called the Genocide Act. Anybody ever heard of the Genocide Act? A few of you?
Genocide
Do
Act?
you know that if you win somebody, even if they're over 21, and you win them from the faith that their parents bore them into, like Catholic, Jews, witchcraft, maybe a Methodist becomes born again, something like this, they can have you arrested and tried for genocide. And you can serve time in federal penitentiary for it if this law is passed. And it's going to get passed. Now, we read over at the other church where I'm at a document from a Senator Colin of Arizona, who is a senator that sits on the Committee of International Banking for the United States and the Federal Reserve Commission and so on. And this letter was written in April of 1976. It said that at that moment, the Federal Reserve Act was ready to number everybody in the United States for the purpose of buying and selling, and was going to by 1980.
Oh my gosh.
Now, how many heard or have saw or heard on the news the proposed United States security card? Anybody here? If you have, lift your hand so a few people know I'm not
United
crazy.
States security card.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we've got to look at this. And we thought it most interesting that our president bragged that he drew the card and designed it himself and everything on it.
Oh my.
Considering that it's kind of an ivory pearl collar with a gray diagram with black typing over it. And the gray diagram consists of this.
Said collar. Not collar.
Can you see it? Somebody tell me what it is. 666. They call it the inverted 9.
Oh my.
It's exactly what's on it. If you go to the World Common, I got to give them credit yet. National or European Common Market countries, you will find this on much of the clothing. Some years back when the currency was printed in 1973 in Brussels, and we bought $10 billion of it, and we have letters to confirm it by senators that we did do this. This world currency, this was on it. But then the president we have today said that his security card makes it so that nobody ever has to carry money anymore, and that will stop robberies. You just carry the card. Now, if you don't think it's close, have you been noticing all the department stores placing computer cash registers in there lately?
Computer cash register.
They're all hooked into a computer system. We'll go ahead and turn this thing off.
Called the interwebs. Oh my.
Make it hot over here.
All interlinked.
There is a computer system that many people have heard about in Brussels. Some of them have even heard there's a sister computer in Dallas. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. In Amsterdam.
Brussels.
Thank you. In Amsterdam, that they call the beast. They're talking computers. Actually, the computer is larger than this sanctuary here. Just the computer, not the building. There is one just like it in Dallas, Texas, 4 stories below the IBM building.
Oh my.
It's called the National Security's Computer. And as of the 1st of last year, the California National Guard switched their patch over to these 3 overlapping 6s. We have confirmed it. We haven't in Georgia yet because we haven't had a chance to talk to anybody that's in the National Guard. But in Florida and Massachusetts and other states, we have confirmed that by the end of this coming year, all the National Guard was to switch their patch over to that.
Okay, in all fairness, they are trying to create a cashless society now, so that he might not be completely batshit on, well, we'll see. But yes, but even a broken clock can be accurate twice a day. Hey, Tweety, what's up? Computers are devil machines. They can make me curse when not working right. It really sucks whenever you don't have electricity to make them work either. Damn.
666. And they all have been hooked as the 1st of this year into the computer in Dallas. Now, this is the computer center that all of the cash registers in all of the stores that are switching to computer cash registers are hooked into. And they, in turn, are hooked into Brussels and Amsterdam. Now, that's a fact. That's not guesswork. Another fact is that all the stores within the next year and a half are to switch to some type of computer verification system, even if it's just the thing that hooks into your phone for those 2 extra buttons on your phone that you can zip the card through, and it gives a reading over the phone.
You heard about them, right? Oh, I love you, Rabbit. Thank you. Yes, definitely. Hit the like. Make sure you subscribe. All you folks over on Rumble, subscribe over there too. I mean, this is going to be this will be the ongoing series for quite some time. I've got quite a few of these audio tapes we've got to get through, and it's some of it's pretty interesting.
Because our president has said, and if you're wondering why, I guess I don't like peanut pickers. I don't know. You'll have to excuse me. I know he's a fellow Georgian. I mean, if you want to claim him, you're welcome to him. He has said that we need proof that everybody in the United States is a law-abiding citizen. I'm getting tired of hearing that term. He's wore it out a little. And that in order to check up on that, what better place than when somebody goes in to buy the groceries or the gasoline to check up on it. So everybody's to have a computer card. And of course, if you don't take the card, you can't buy anything, and you're a bad citizen. Somewhere along the line, I think they thought you were going to get hunted down if you were a Christian. Believe me.
Does this sound familiar? Because you're hearing the same thing being talked about currently.
The organized Christian church isn't going to say anything about it. Now, there's 2 doctrines. Both of them are pre-trib. One, you'll be here to see the mark, and some of you won't be here to see the mark passed out. Whether you believe it or not, the mark is still coming. I'm just verifying it, so whichever way you want to believe. But the point is, they plan on passing this thing out in about 1.5 years. They really do. They have everything being hooked up for it now.
My.
So the times are growing close. And this was all what's planned out.
Time's growing close.
Now, I'm going to give you a reading list before I go to questions and answers because I'm running short on time here and I want to donate some time to it. And the first book on the list is one of their books. Now, I tell Christians not to buy any occult books because of the demons that come with it. But this book isn't one of those. It's a political book written by them. And I want to give you a warning. You may not want to buy it after I say all about the book before I give its title. Some years back, 12 years ago, which makes the book so fantastic considering that when you get halfway into the book, you find out we don't have any oil and all the coal mines are on strike, and then they blow them up when they try to go back to work.
Oh my gosh, they don't have any oil. They blow up all the coal mines whenever they try to go back to work. Oh my, where are we going with this one?
Sound familiar? Written 12 years ago.
12?
Farmers are on strike too in the book.
Farmers?
People are starving to death.
Oh my gosh.
Interesting. Anyway, this book was written at the order of Philip Rothschild, and he chose one of his mistresses to write it, who was already an author of many communist books and books in the world, and she was very well known as a novice writer.
So who do you think he's going to talk about? Who do you think he's going to say wrote this book for the Rothschilds? Come on, anybody? Put it up in chat. I'll give you 30 seconds. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. I'll just give it a quick countdown. No, Squaw Bob, it is not Mark Twain, but it is somebody that you probably know, and I can give everybody a hint. Oh, this is before blockchain. Somebody that became very famous. No, it was not Anne Rice. This is before Anne Rice. My cows keep stepping on me. Not Oprah Winfrey. No. Here you go.
As a novel writer. And so she wrote this code book in the form of a novel, 1,100 pages long.
1,100.
Now, the only problem with it is, since it was written a novel, it's like a lot of garbage that women read today from the book clubs and so on. You have some passages in that you ought to burn along with Larry Flint's magazine. But you could skip over them. I don't recommend it for anything but a serious student of the conspiracy. But it does give, after you get past the first 200 pages, they write the book very interesting. They write the book like you looking at the conspiracy and not knowing about it, and things happen in the newspaper and television, and you go, oh, well, that's just the times. And then they get into three people planning the whole thing. They plan derailment of trains. And in fact, I would say most of the book is about the derailment of trains and the coal strike and the lack of fuel. And then it goes into other things.
Did I give it away yet? Give it away? Does it give it away? Anybody? Come on. Derailment of trains. Okay.
But the book is called Atlas Shrugged. Like you shrug your shoulders.
Yep. Ayn Rand claims that she wrote a book on the occult.
I found it in almost every bookstore that I've been in Atlanta. So you shouldn't have any problem finding it. Now for the good ones. There's one called None Dare Call. Now, before I give you Gary Allen's books, I want to tell you he's anti-Christian, but not in his books. He's just anti-Illuminatist. He's a member of the John Birch Society, and he kind of looks at the Illuminati one-sided, but it does give you some historical facts. None Dare Call Conspiracy, the Rockefeller Files. There's one more. He didn't write, but his name is on it, because the man who wrote it wasn't well known, and he came out of the Illuminati, and he wanted to release the facts of a very strong, important person to the Rothschilds. And he wrote the book, and Gary Allen had it printed with his name on it, and 2 weeks later, the real author of the book was killed. It's called Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Carter.
There's more to your peanut picker than meets the eye than Billy Beer and Ruth Carter Stapleton. Now, I'm going to go ahead.
Ruth Carter Stapleton. Oh, she's in on it too. She's a high priestess.
Oh, one other one. There's a good Christian book called The Day the Dollar Dies, and it's strange. I've been to probably 10 Christian bookstores in this city, and not one of them carry that book. And this is the first city I've been to that book's not carried, and they don't know why it's not carried, except the owners of the bookstores have told them not to carry it. It's the only book they're not supposed to carry. So you might go in and say, I want it. Maybe they'll get it for you. It's called The Day the Dollar Dies. Now, I'm going to open for questions. And do me a favor before we get this. See, I handle questions across the United States, and by now I can probably ask them better than you can. Don't give me any personal incidences about spells and demons and stuff in your life. Maybe a personal interest, maybe if your path has crossed the Illuminati in some way, talk about that if you want to give a personal experience. But otherwise, let's stay to questions on things that have been said tonight and that are either confusing you or something you think somebody else ought to know or so on.
Oh my.
So we'll just go with that. I'm sure the teenagers that were here the other night are at chapel. I had to cut them off because of time. Maybe they want to start it out tonight with a few.
Have the children ask questions.
Okay, right here. Those symbols, just the ones I've given. There's one other one I didn't draw in there, and that's the scarab, the beetle.
The beetle.
Okay?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
How do you spell it?
Just a minute.
How do you spell the Illuminati?
Well, the reason that I'm not saying the Illuminati, to even say the Illuminati in the occult, even for the Council of 13, meant that they're going to take you out somewhere and kill you. It's an unspeakable word. In fact, the leader of the Council of 13 and his enforcer, Isaac Bonowitz, both members of it, Gavin Frost and Bonowitz, came to me and said, we know the Christians don't believe half of what you say. We don't mind you talking about witchcraft because they still think we fly on broomsticks. That's what they think of you. When actually they're right about most Christians in that form. But would you please stop using the word Illuminati before we have to kill you?
Oh my gosh.
They say Mariah. That's what they say. The
Mariah.
Illuminati is
Mariah.
ILLUMINATI. It means the light bearers. It's Latin for the light bearers. Okay? In the back. I don't know him. I know of him yet.
And that ends this particular portion of it. There's more. We'll talk about John Todd here for a little bit. Just so you feel a little bit better about this particular guy. Here we go. John Todd. He was arrested May 1987 for the rape of a University of South Carolina graduate student. After his arrest, he was additionally charged with sexually molesting 2 children who attended a karate school where he worked. He was convicted of that raping in January of 1988 and sentenced to 30 years in state prison. In June of 1988, Todd, through his defense attorney, requested the return of a pair of pink women's panties, 64 photographs, 2 survival knives, a knife sharpener, a handgun, 99 cassette tapes, and 3 copies of Todd's book, How to Build an Ark, A Practical Guide to Survival. In 2004, Todd was released, but he was put in the care of the Behavioral Disorder Treatment Unit run by South Carolina Department of Mental Health, where he died. Guys, you got a little too close to them there, demons. Oh, but wait, there's more. Oh, yes. When I say there's more, there's plenty more. Because that right there was just tape A. It was 41 minutes, 5 seconds. I still have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tapes to go through. Such a sweet bedtime story. What did he die of? Well, I'd actually have to look that up, but if I'm not mistaken, he died of natural causes. But of course, there's some people that believe that he was assassinated by a sniper rifle. We'll get into that also. There's so much about this guy that's just weird and unusual. So much. But we'll get in there. Oh, no, you didn't. 13 is such a naughty number. No, we've got a lot more on this guy. And over the next, what I may do is next week run through quite a few of those tapes because it is so long of what this guy talks about. And if you believe what he says, more power to you. If you don't believe what he says, more power to you. I have no opinion on this particular guy, although I know he was a good grift. He had the grift down really well, and a lot of people were following very closely to what he had to say. And the reason I know, because my mother got highly involved in this. There's a reason why part of my childhood was so disturbing. When my mother heard these tapes, I think she found everything that this guy was saying to be true, and burned books and music and anything that was associated with Star Wars or anything that she could get her little mittens on. She would have burned the house down if, well, actually she tried that. But yeah, so she did a little bit of crazy stuff because she followed this guy like a religion. If his conspiracies wouldn't have been so far-fetched, which, it made it very believable at the time. But once people started doing a little bit of research and finding out that yeah, he was, discharged from the military because of, basically being a shit. He was accused multiple times of going after young girls, impressionable girls. So yeah, he was not the kindest person. Is what he says true? Maybe not. With that being said, worse than Christmas fruitcake. Well, he might have been, or maybe he was onto it. Maybe he knew something that nobody else knew, and they took him out for it. That was part of the belief. So, all that being said, I want everybody to go over and check out Winning. He's got a show. Pardon me. He's got a show going on tonight. So go check him out. And all I've got to say is it gets worse. It gets much, much worse. Yes, he was a character. Why did everybody hit fruitcake? See, I don't know. Maybe because it'll survive a nuclear a nuclear bomb. Maybe. I don't know. I do not know Winning. Throw up a link there for Winning, because there'll be some shows that I do with Winning. I'll be bringing him on soon. Not this week because I got so much going on. But yes, got to throw up Winning's link there. Got to get ready for work in a bit, but I'll check it out. Well, that's right. You're in the land down under. I always forget that. I always forget that you're in the land down under. But we like our Australian people around here. They're really nice. Claxton fruitcake. Just love them and stare. Yes, Winning is awesome. Let me see if I can find it there. If you're in the States, I thought you were in Australia. Sure, I think you're pulling my leg. Oh, you must work late night, vampire. Hey, you know what? I bet you're really close to Tweety, because Tweety is a vampire too. Bet you are. Yes, very, very much so. Very much so. Probably because I mod for Hayden. Well, I know that you mod for Hayden. I was on Hayden's show a long time ago. It seems like forever. like back at the very beginning of the year, this first 24-hour stream. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, we've got, let's see, we'll show it right there. And why did it not come on? It's really weird. Yeah, I removed like all mods off my channel. I've got very few on here anymore. Like Rabbit's my mainstay of mods. I want to pin this up there so we can put this on here. Why do I not find it? There we go. Place pin message. So what we're going to do is we're going to end the poll here. Look at that. Look at that poll. Here's the poll. So 66% of you like daisies. Nothing wrong with that. You're in control of ourselves. And 22% said yes. 11 said no. But I guarantee you, everybody loves daisies. I'm there, sub only, so it'll take a minute before I can chat. That's true. And yeah, I had to remove mods because I had some issues going on with some of my mods. It was, it was just like I had to remove people that I haven't seen in here for a long time. I did that before I went on vacation. I just saw that there was way too many mods in, and I talked with somebody about about the amount of mods that I had. They were just like, well, having mods is good, but sometimes there can be issues that happen between mods, and just if you have a smaller amount of mods, you end up with less stress. And so that's what I wanted. Less stress on me. And definitely thank you all for being here tonight. And DAISY is acronym for Arminians, Calvinists prefer tulips. I didn't know that. But okay, if you say so. With all that being said, I'm so glad that all you wonderful people got to enjoy me for my introduction into John Wayne Todd. Why do they always have to have a name like that, John Wayne Todd? Oh, Fast Group, you're going to have to go back and rewatch the whole damn thing. We're all heading over to go watch some Winning Reality. The link is up there in the very top. Definitely go check it out. He's another Georgia boy, so gotta support our Georgia boys. Absolutely, we are going over to Winning, and with that, I want everybody to have a wonderful night, and peace, y'all.
Exotica.